We are here at the annual meeting at the World Economic Forum 2025, and the key topics are digital asset, regulation, and how other countries are embracing it. We obviously are in the middle of Europe here, where markets in crypto assets regulation, MiCA, had been just implemented. But there's a very interesting country where LCX is also home, called Liechtenstein. And I'm honored to have Ms. Guerra with us. So what are your key topics here at the Davos Week around digital asset regulation?
Well, as one of the pioneers in digital asset innovation and regulation, we are, of course, now looking into what have we done up until now and where do we have to still go and adjust our path. And with MiCA, we are digesting MiCA, we're digesting the implementation of MiCA in Liechtenstein. And here in Davos, we are, of course, promoting what we've done in Liechtenstein and why it's such an attractive place for crypto asset service providers to address the EU market.
When did Liechtenstein start to work on blockchain topics?
That was actually really very early. So already in 2016, we formed a working group to address the topics that brought on by market players coming to Liechtenstein and confronting our financial market authority with regulatory questions, how to deal with these technologies. And it resulted in a comprehensive legal framework that we introduced that became in application and in effect in January 2020. So to sum it up, we are looking back at 4 years of hands-on experience with registration and supervision of crypto asset service providers, and that makes us a very trusted and proven jurisdiction dealing with that technology and these business models.
That's right, yeah. So at LCX, we have the L in the name, we are in Liechtenstein, so we are now more than 4 years being supervised over there by the regulator, and it gives us now an unfair advantage, because it was more tough at the beginning. We've been probably slower than others, but now we see that this hard work paid off, and we're in a strong position right now. Looking at MiCA, how will MiCA be introduced in Liechtenstein, and what does it mean in terms of other crypto assets service providers?
Well, we already have done our homework nationally in adapting our TVDGs, our Blockchain Act, for MiCA. So, of course, once MiCA is in place, the things that have been regulated under, that are being addressed now with MiCA, that have been also addressed with the Blockchain Act, they cannot be enforced anymore, but the TVDG is not going to be completely obsolete. So we still have additional roles that actually MiCA is not covering that are enforced in Liechtenstein. For example, the NFT custody, or also we have a service provider role that tackles the lending regulation for crypto asset, for tokens, and many other surrounding framework conditions that help the token economy. So we are ready for MiCA implementation. However, since we are not an EU member state, but part of the European Economic Area, we need to have a unanimous agreement between also Norway and Iceland to adopt MiCA and take MiCA into the EEA agreement. And there we're still now waiting to have the final decision finalized, so that, and then once it is done on EEA level, MiCA will become applicable straight away.
But then for CASPs, there's non-European supervision, but it's locally. Can you explain how it's structured? Probably also why they should choose Liechtenstein over other jurisdictions.
So to make use of addressing the whole of the EU market, you need to register with one of the national competent authorities. So you can choose one country to apply for a MiCA license. And Liechtenstein would absolutely present itself as a good choice because we have that experience from our authorities with dealing these kind of registrations and supervisions of these service providers. But apart from that, we are also offering like a really economically and politically stable environment, and are having the advantage of not just being an EU member, but also having unique ties to Switzerland, so allowing for privileged market access to both of these quite attractive markets. And then, of course, we are a small, really small microstate, small country, but the advantage that comes with that you have very short pathways to decision makers, to politicians, to the authorities. And for example, like with my office, like one single point of contact for these kind of service providers, these kind of businesses to get support and access to this innovation ecosystem. So this is where we're doing a lot of work and a lot of providing a lot of service to the market players.
Right, and you've done a lot of work on that. In Liechtenstein, with all this heritage, we feel that a lot of our users are proud to have an account in Liechtenstein and be part of this like heritage and also financial hub. But there's a saying where it says, US innovates, China or Asia duplicates, and Europe regulates. How do you see, like internationally, if we see a Trump coin being launched and Melania and suddenly the first crypto president, as they call him, the balance of global regulation? Are people learning from Liechtenstein's experience, or are they now overturning everything? How's the global perspective?
This is only proven over time, and Liechtenstein's model has proven to be successful. And so it's not just now with the US, but also before it was adopted by Vara in Dubai, for example. They have taken a very similar approach. Same with Qatar. Also, MiCA is in principle very similar to the approach that we have taken. Of course, the more other jurisdictions are taking inspiration from that and aligning to that, the better it is for the industry. Regulation is not necessarily a bad thing for innovation, because it actually it can act as a catalyst for these businesses, because now in a very dynamic field, technologically and regulatory, they have legal clarity and certainty, and then they can focus on actually innovating and their businesses. Also, I think in the US, if we see a national regulation aimed at crypto asset service providers or the digital asset space, that is going to help the overall economy, digital asset economy and adoption, because institutional investors, bigger investors and organizations are venturing into the space.
I believe you're totally right, because if you look at the cryptocurrency market before, there had been no rules, no regulation at all, so it couldn't be embraced by institutional players. And I hope maybe the US will come up with something smart as well. So we're curious to see that, what's going to happen. So we need to balance regulation and innovation. As an entrepreneur, we also don't want to be over-regulated, but we always had been thriving to actually go the compliant path, because I believe it's needed to grow as a market as a whole.
Certainly.
To sum up, I have a little present for you. It's always good to have some Bitcoin around, so that's your present. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.